Lord Jesus, we are grateful tonight to have the freedom and the opportunity to come together in the name of the Lord Jesus. And we realize that we have been privileged to be witnesses to certain events that you have chosen to have accomplished in our generation, in our lifetime. Sister Louise and I had nothing to do with meeting each other, but you brought the events to pass, and now then they've become a matter of history. And our friendship and our testimony and our lives have come together again for this moment tonight to bear witness of things that we know to be true, things that we know that people around the world would enjoy hearing and knowing. And we trust it'll be edifying and encouraging to all those that hear and see this, that they can know that God is good and God is true and that his word never fails. Help us to be good witnesses. Let us speak the things, Lord, that will be edifying to your people tonight. I ask it as we invite you to come be with us in Jesus' name. Allow me to give this much of an introduction. This is at Tucson Tabernacle on February the 8th, 2009. And Sister Louise arrived in Tucson last night, very late, about midnight. She traveled from up in Fort Nelson, British Columbia, by bus to Edmonton on Thursday. Left about 3 o'clock in the morning and traveled all day long. And got to Edmonton and stayed with some friends there that we all know on Friday. And then on Saturday about noon, she caught an airplane and came to Seattle on Air Alaska, and it had a mechanical problem, was delayed for a couple of hours, and that delayed her arrival in Phoenix last night when Brother and Sister Bennett picked her up, and they were in service with us this morning. We had lunch together today, and Louise and I reviewed some things together that we both could remember and recall. She brought with her this time some old photographs that she's had, and the reason they're old is because we're both old. They were taken in their younger years, but we have been able with modern technology to digitize those this afternoon, and we'll give you an opportunity to see those. But we're going to be talking to you tonight about her personal experiences that she had when she was a young girl. And I think she must have been about 18 the first time I saw her. And she was a witness of a miracle that we had heard Brother Brown talk about happening, where he'd seen a vision of her brother Oscar that had lost some horses. And Brother Branham had, by vision, told him where to find them. And that was in 63. And in 64, I happened to be privileged to be up there on the trip when Louise, a young girl, came riding one of the horses out of the wilderness. And Brother Branham looked out the cabin and said, "Here comes Oscar's sister with one of those horses I saw in the vision." And that was the beginning of my introduction and acquaintance with Louise. I took some photographs at that time, and one of those photographs was of her and Brother Branham and the black horse that Oscar had lost, that Brother Branham had seen by vision. And that's the one that you can see in the generation book with her testimony. Now, when I knew Louise at first, her name was MacDonald. But in the meantime, she's gotten married, and her name is Novodvorski. And the man that she married, at the time of their wedding, she tells me, the minister could not even pronounce his name, so they asked, and somebody said, "Say it like this: never divorce me." Novodvorski. So if you remember that, you can maybe get a clue how to say her name. But there have been many things happened since then, and Louise still loves the Lord with all of her heart, and she believes that God visited this generation with a mighty prophet. And we all agree with her. Now, let me say an introduction to this also. You know, if you had an opportunity to talk with a lady who came and washed Jesus' feet, or any of those that Jesus dealt with, you would appreciate her testimony and an opportunity to see her personally. And you know, there was one of those that Jesus made the comment that some of you criticize her for this, and you say this could have been done some other way. But he said, wherever the gospel is preached, this story will be told. Amen. And we know that the gospel has been told about the woman who washed Jesus' feet. And today we were at lunch, and there were people from other churches that were there that listened to Brother Branham's tapes, and when they heard that Louise was in the restaurant, they all wanted to come over and meet her. And one sister in particular says, I've heard about you for so long, and now I have heard, but now I see. Yes. And so that's the way you are tonight. So I have read Louise's testimony in the Generation book. Here a few weeks ago, she wrote me a brief life story, and we have corresponded by mail for a number of years. I've gotten a whole lot more letters from her than she's gotten from me. But she calls me quite often, and we visit on the phone, and we pray for her family here in the church when there's a need and prayer request. And tonight we're going to be able to show you pictures of some of her family, and let Louise bring us up to date. But Louise, you were born in British Columbia?
Yes, I was.
There in the area where I first met you?
Yes, I was.
And your mother and father, what year were you born, if I could ask you?
1944 in spring, May 17.
May 17,
May 17,
1944.
Yes.
It makes you at least 25 now, doesn't
At
it?
least. Oh, not really. Wish
Well,
I
then,
was.
in 1964, when we met, then you must have been you were 20. I've always thought you were about 18. But,
well, I felt like it then.
but from the time you were born till, let's say, the time that you and I met, or you met Brother Branham there, you lived in that Toad River area?
Yes, I lived in Toad River area, and when I was about 5 years old, they sent us to residential school.
Now, they took you Indian children and sent you somewhere
Yes.
to educate you away from your parents.
Yes.
Huh?
And like I was saying, in them days I never spoke English, so I didn't know why I was there. And I guess the nuns, you might say, they punish you or something, and I found myself standing in a corner more than with the other kids. And of course, we're all from different nationalities. Like my girlfriend, she's the Slavey, and I'm a Beaver, and another girlfriend, she's a Cree, and we can't help one another because we can't speak to one another. So all we did was hold one another's hand for consolation. And when the nuns or the priest told us what to do, we didn't know what they were saying.
Yeah, this was a Catholic priest.
That was the first year I went to school.
Where they sent you, and you were a Beaver?
I was a Beaver Indian, yes.
That's the tribe.
That's
was the Beaver tribe.
Yes. And we all had a hard time the first year. The second year wasn't too bad because I thought I could understand them a lot better. The third year was better. So we began to communicate with other children, and then we understood what they were trying to train us for. And then when we went home, we tried to help our mom and dad.
How many years were you in the school?
I was in there for 8 years.
8 years.
But after, I went back for 4 years because I went and finished college. I graduated from college.
You went to college.
Yes.
Now, you learned the English. Did your parents speak English?
Mom didn't, but Dad had a broken English. He
I
thought
guess
he understood, but
he
I
had
don't.
some exposure to the people who built the highway then.
When the Alaska Highway was being built, Dad was a guide to the people, to a guy named, he's the U.S. Army, I think that's what he said. McCaska, has anybody heard about him? He's a very famous person from the state. He's the first one that headed the Alaska Highway. and my dad worked with him. And he guided him, and you know, like the old Indian trails they used to make. Well, he took his horses, and this McCasker and my dad and some other men from Fort Nelson, they helped make the Alaska
He
Highway.
was a surveyor, an engineer
Yeah, he
on the
was
Alaskan
he
Highway
was
project.
instructor or something like
Yeah.
that. He named most of the places there now.
Somebody
Which is
had to decide what route that highway took,
Yes,
and your father assisted him.
yes, he was an instructor. He was the leader of, because McCasker didn't know where to go. This, another guy named Collison, he told McCasker, he said, shouldn't the highway be down below? And my dad, because he hunted, and he told McCasker, no, he said, Indians, when they hunt, they don't go down below, he said. When they hunt, they climb the mountain to see what's down there. Yeah. So, because my dad worked on Kitchikan, you know, there was a boat, he worked on a boat, yeah? That's where he learned.
On the river.
On the river.
Okay. And so your dad spoke a little bit of broken English.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever thought about it or not, but if you had not learned English, you wouldn't have been able to understand the prophet when he came.
No, I would never have. No.
How many members of your family could communicate with Brother Branham when he came?
Well, I got a sister and brother that never spoke English. That's Maggie and Walter. They're still living, but they could never speak English.
And Brother Branham speaks about both of those,
yes.
doesn't he?
And when Maggie saw us being baptized, she come running out of the bush because she didn't want to be left behind. She said, oh.
When she saw y'all being baptized, she come running out of the bush.
She come running, and Billy Paul thought was so cute, you know. And he said, who's this? He jumped right in front of him, and I think my brother said she wanted to be baptized. She don't want to be left behind. Because here's Walter instructing Maggie. He said, if you don't get baptized, he said, you'll go to hell. So he said, if you get baptized, he said, then Jesus will take you. And that's why she come running. She didn't want to be left behind.
Which one of your brothers is it came out calling on Brother Branham that he wanted the Holy Ghost?
Angus.
Anki.
Yes, Angus.
We're going to see a picture of him
yes,
tonight.
I got his picture here. And
which one of your brothers was it that walked across the lake?
yes, that's him, Angus.
Angus also walked across the lake.
Yes, he did.
And never got his feet wet.
Never got his feet wet.
You people believe this?
Yes.
We're going to let her show you and tell you about this experience. This man literally walked on the water. And these Indians witnessed this. Amen. And this is the way God vindicated Brother Branham to these people. Supernaturally it did. Now, something about the area that you lived in. It's called the Toad River, but it's mile 442 on the highway.
Yes, it is.
Now, that's the drainage of the area of the Toad River.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure that you're aware of it, but I can show you on tape where Brother Branham, 3 different times when he stopped and he surveyed the mountain and the trees and the growth, he prayed, Lord, let me live here during the millennium. So that must be someplace special. And if you've heard Brother Branham on the tape, he talked about, you know, all the well-cropped, manicured yards we have in California and all the palm trees we have in Florida. But he says, give me the way God made it to start off with. And so Louise is already living at an address where all of us would want to live during the millennium, even in the cold weather.
40 below?
40 below.
40 below.
By the way, for those of you that were not here this morning, I've already blamed her for this weather we're having today. It arrived in Arizona about 9 o'clock last night when she landed in Phoenix. So,
and then the cold came.
This follows her wherever she goes.
Me, yes.
But she came here to enjoy the sunshine, and we pray the Lord will give her some.
Yes.
Now, do you remember the first time you heard about Brother Branham?
Well, I didn't hear about Brother Branham because I was a teen and I like to get my own way, yeah? Like, I like to run around like other girls, but Mom wouldn't let me, yeah? They got strict rules at home. They want to know where you're going, where you're going to be, and who are you seeing.
Where was there to go up there in the wilderness?
Not really, but you can always hitchhike or something,
Just be teenage kids,
yeah,
huh?
just looking for fun, huh?
Yeah.
In them days. But how I heard about Brother Branham, that was through Oscar.
Oscar, that's your
Yes.
brother, okay?
See, when Bud and Lila went up there to hunt, Oscar's the one that went over to visit them. And Lila, although she was busy, she testified to Oscar and said, because Oscar said to Lila, he said, Mom is sick. He said, she don't want to go to hospital. And Lila told Oscar, he said, there's a prophet coming that he pray for people. And Oscar heard this from her. So he went home and told Dad and said, they said there's a guy that prays for people that he's coming up. He said, maybe you should take Mom. We were way out in the wilderness called Moose Lake. You'll see that on the Moose Lake. It's about 15 miles in the bush. So we all moved down to Groundhog Creek. That's where
You
Mom
moved from
was.
Lost Lake to Groundhog Creek.
Creek.
Okay.
And Oscar went back to the highway to see if Brother Branham had arrived. But Lila said there was a flood between Fort St. John and Dawson Creek.
Brother Branham mentions that on the
Yeah.
river that he couldn't get through there.
So he come home, but he went back next day. And that's when he brought him, Oscar brought him over.
Okay, now your family had they been Roman Catholics or they?
Yes, we were Roman Catholics.
Okay,
We were
but now was
strictly
it
Catholic.
your grandfather and your great grandfather that
They were Indian
you tell us about
prophets.
them?
Yes.
You call them Indian prophets.
Yeah, on mother's side of the family, mom and dad, they're called the Stone family.
Stone family.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's their last name, Stone. Anyway, he's got 30 children.
30 children.
Yeah,
One wife?
three wives.
Okay.
And one
Not at
son.
one time. Three different ones.
Yeah, three
Okay.
different ones.
Okay.
And each wife, I guess they got 10 children or something. Anyway, Mom was the youngest one. And in them days, before Mom's time, there were, in them days there was no highway and nobody knew there was any white people or anything. It's just vast wilderness. So the Indians used to, in the fall time, they get those drums, they sing. They're trying to see the future, to see what's going to happen in the future. Like if this is fall time, they'll hold a meeting, and all the men, there's no women allowed in those meetings, and they'll sing songs, and they'll play the drum, and the elder men among them, they try to dream or try to see visions or anything like that from the Lord. Anyway, this one prophet, he said, before Mom was born, he told his wife, he said, I was told by the Spirit, he said, a great Spirit, he said, there is coming a prophet on earth before Jesus come back to earth. And ever since then, every young men, they thought it would be him like that, And as he was dying, it's on a picture there where he prophesied there's a rainbow there, where he prophesied there was coming a prophet.
We're going to show
Yeah.
you a photograph of the area where he was
The Indian
when
prophet.
he gave that prophecy, and there now still appears a rainbow at that spot.
Every morning. And anyway, when we were children, Dad used to go hunting and the boys with him, and we were alone with Mom, the girls were, and she used to tell a story, you know, what her grandparents told her, what her mom and dad told her, and she said, there is coming a prophet. They said, we don't know
You
how
were taught
he's
this
coming.
as a little girl by
As a
your
little
mother,
girl, yes.
that one of your forefathers had said.
As has said. So when Oscar brought the message back from Lila and said, Lila said, there's a man that prays for the sick and he's coming. And she also testified to Oscar that this man sees vision. So when Mom and Dad heard that, and Mom said, that must be him. That must be the one they were talking about. And anyway, when he come over to pray for Mom, he never saw me, yeah? And I never seen Lila then. I never met her or even go visit her or anything. So here's Rose and I, my sister, older sister. Joe gave us, he paid us $1 each. He said, go work in the field for me for a while. So we got this long knife. In them days, they call it machete. Only thing is, I think Oscar and them got them from when the highway was being built. You know, those armies, they used those swords, like, I think that's what it was. Only, you know, that's what we were cutting the hay with. And the sun was kind of going down, and Joe come riding over, and I looked toward the cabin, and they were waving like this, and I couldn't hear what they were saying. And Angus was coming from Billy's cabin, and Joe yelled at Angus and said, what they want? And Angus asked Oscar, what do you know, what's going on? And he said, tell Louise to come. So we were about 2.5 miles in the field. That's why we didn't know what they were saying. But Joe heard them, and he said, Louise, I think they wanted to see you. I thought, gee, now what's going on, you know? And I come walking up slowly, and my pants was dirty. I was a sight, I guess, you know. And I come up, and when I got where he was standing, and he told me he was Brother Branham and that he prayed for the sick. Because I was a Catholic, of course, I was stuck up, man, and I said, you know, and I think he didn't like that, you know. So he said, if we weren't in a cabin yet. Anyway, he was talking to me outside. And he said, Oscar was already in the cabin, and Brother Branham said, if I pray for your mom, would you tell her that she will be healed? I said, okay, I'll do that. So we went in the cabin, and my brothers, Mom and Dad, they live in a cabin, but you ever see those cardboard boxes they used for wall in them days? So I thought Brother Branham was reading something on a cardboard box that was behind Mom. And because I never saw him, you know, this is the first time I met him, and this is the first time I was in his presence. And I think Mom was already passing away because she was like this. And I was talking to her, and I said, if Brother Branham said, if he pray for you that you will get well, and Mom, would you believe, in my language?
You were interpreting for Brother
For her.
Branham.
Yeah, I was interpreting
Now,
for her.
when Brother Branham came to the area
in the
to pray
cabin.
for her, he mentioned that on tape,
Yes.
that there was an Indian lady dying from a heart trouble,
Yes.
that the Catholic priest wouldn't go because it was so far back in the bush.
Yes.
And Brother Branham was told about it, and he came, and there's a flood that prevented his arrival.
Yes.
But then when he got there, he could not communicate with your mother because she didn't speak English.
No.
And nobody told him your name, but he told them, go get Louise.
Yes. And Oscar was surprised because I thought Lila told him. So I thought, well, where I'm going to see, I'm going to tell this lady off. And anyway, when I got there to her place next day, finish my story about her.
You were interpreting for your mother.
Yes, and I thought she was passing away. Because her head felt back like that, and Brother Branham was looking at something on a cardboard box, like my brothers, they all scribble on those things. I thought he was reading what was written on it. And he said, her daughter, he said, it's going away into the far city. Yeah, and that was me. And he said, that's why the mother is having heart attack or something like that. Anyway, he said, I was going into a far city.
Your mom was unhappy and mourning because you were going away.
Yes. Well, I secretly planned this. I never told anybody. It's just to show you how much God revealed the secret of the heart. Now, it's just between my girlfriend and I. I was going to Vancouver. I was going to be trained to be an RN. And this was my heart desire. I never told Mom and Dad. I thought, well, if I leave, I'll just suddenly tell her I just got to go. Huh? And I don't know, God knows both ends, I guess. And he said, you're going to the city to be an RN. I thought, who told this man this, And I couldn't believe it, because my girlfriend Jessie, she's way up north, way up Whitehorse. So I thought Jessie couldn't have told him no. And anyway, he said, you're going away to be a nurse. He said, but he said, I tell you what, he said, why don't you become a nurse for the Lord, he said. And at that time, I didn't know what he meant. And that's what he said when he went out the cabin. No, I didn't. I'm ahead of myself. Like I said, I was a Catholic and I was kind of aware of him. So I turned my back to him. I was going to the other cabin, and he picked up his hat and he said, where Jesus is not welcome, I am not, he said. So I whirled around and I said, I believe the Lord. And, I repented right there. And, and that's when he's seen on the vision over my head, like you ever seen him when he's prophesying over people? He looked right above you. Huh? And he said, you're Cheyenne, he said. He said, you're the Princess of Cheyenne. And he said two more names. But
Princess of Cheyenne.
Of Cheyenne. And then he said two more names, but I didn't hear the rest. I didn't, because he said it to himself. That's when he put his hat on, and he said, praise God, Louise is a good nurse, he said. Praise God, Louise is a good nurse, he said. And I thought Mom went on. Next day she got a Bolton. Yeah. So she was healed. So next day I went to see Lila. I was going to ask her, why did she talk about me to him? Because I never met this lady. So anyway, I went to see her, and she started telling me that he's a prophet. He said, the prophet foresees things. I said, but he also know everything about me. I said, he even said I'm going to be a nurse. I said, who told him that? He said, God told him. Ah, what a... I sure shut my mouth. And I went home, I thought, oh, I never seen something like this, you know. He said, Lila said, God told Brother Branham. You know, I mean, how would he know otherwise? You know, how did he know? You know, there's no way in the world he would have known. You know, I was planning to go away, huh? And
But you told no one except your friend Jesse. But
so
Brother Branham,
Jesse's the only one that knew that I wanted to be a nurse because she was already there. Huh?
Yeah.
And I was secretly trying to get away to get to the
Now, can we remember, was that 1960 or 61 when that happened?
61 was the year I had a dream. That was before Mom got sick. When the voice said to me, I was laying in a cabin, he said, go tell that woman to give you those 2 red books. And that was Lila. That's when Brother Branham was there that first year, when I come riding out with a brown horse. I was riding my brother's horse.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what, the first time he saw me. When the Southwicks were living in the trailer there. Were you there at that time?
No, they had built the cabin when I came.
Yeah, they were in the trailer at that time.
Yeah.
Because when I come up, I said, Lila, I said, have you got those 2 red books? And she and I would look, and we couldn't find those red books. So Brother Branham was there, she said. Because next day I come to visit her, and she said, he wanted to talk to you. He said, Louise, don't you realize, he said, millions of people just love to have, how she said, just to have one moment with him, he said. And he said, and you walk away like that? I said, I didn't even know who he was at that time. That's when, after Mom got sick, this is 1962 when he prayed for Mom, is it? Am I right?
Yeah.
Or wrong?
Yeah.
62.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I came in 64.
You came in 64.
64, yeah.
And 63 was when I brought the horse out? Or?
Yes.
Yes.
No, 64 is when you brought the horse
64.
out, yeah. We're old, Louise. We don't always remember the dates.
No.
But now,
So,
do you remember how many times Brother Branham came?
3 times.
Okay, the first time he came and prayed for your mom?
The first time he came, 61, when he was hunting grizzly up West Toad.
Okay.
That's where he met Dad. Dad and
Okay,
Oscar.
he killed the grizzly and the caribou. That year?
No.
No, the second year.
That wasn't the year.
Okay, the first time he
62.
came there hunting, and
That was spring hunt.
yeah, and that's
Yeah,
when that's right, a spring hunt, and that's when he heard about Brother Bud Southwick's brother having the seizures.
Oh, that was Curtis.
Yeah.
Curtis South.
Yeah, and then he told Bud and them what to do, and then the
Yes.
brother came and had a seizure, and Lila took his shirt off and threw it in the fire,
yes.
and he was delivered from it. Now, Brother Biscoe was on that trip also.
He was on that.
Okay, and then that's the same trip that the boys killed a caribou and took one of Bud's horses, and the horse ran off because of the smell of the bear, and that's when Oscar asked Brother Branham where the horses were. And that's when Brother Branham by vision, told Oscar how to find the horses.
Yes.
And then Oscar writes Brother Branham. He didn't find the horses then, but when Brother Branham wrote him back and told him he saw them in the snow, Oscar went to the snow, found the horses, and then the next time Brother Branham came is when you came out with the horse
Oh, yes.
to show us. Now,
Yes.
when were y'all baptized? The time before, the second time he came?
That was after he went. Because Billy Paul heard him say, I love to see this whole family baptized. And that was Brother Branham's heart desire. So his son fulfilled.
Right.
Yes.
Now tell me, did you see the caribou horns and the bear skin when Brother Branham killed it and they brought it out of the wilderness, or was it this something you heard about afterwards?
No, I didn't see.
You didn't see
no,
that.
I didn't
you
see
were
that.
aware though that they had that
Yes.
hunt and had that. Now, the area where you people lived, we've got a photograph of that. That used to be a postcard on the highway. They called
Yes.
it the McDonald Camp.
Yes.
And y'all had up the framework and the logs and so forth, but
Yes.
you stretched the canvas over and y'all came there. And you had these very comfortable beds
Oh, those,
that were spruce brow.
yes.
That's the first time I ever heard that term. Brother Branham told me what that was. You want to tell us how a spruce brow bed is made?
Well, Indian ladies in them days, we go in the bush and we cut these sprouts with an axe, with a hatchet or something, just to sit on. Something you put on.
That's the limbs that were hanging like this.
The limb.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'd lay them down, and where they
on the
were
ground,
natural bent, it was a spring to it, huh?
Yes.
That's what you call a spruce brow bed. Instead of sitting on the ground, you sit on these branches that sort of got a spring on them. When you sit down, that's the springs. Yeah. And then at night, you put your blanket over and slept on it?
I think they sleep on it.
and how cold did it get there, Louise, that y'all slept there?
About 30 to 40 below where I come.
Below zero?
Below zero.
That Fahrenheit or Celsius? That's still cold, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Very cold.
Yes.
And you lived in all that all your life, huh?
Yes, I lived there all my life.
And the transportation was horseback or walking?
Horseback, walking, and four-wheelers now.
Oh yeah, you got modern now, it's four-wheeler. But it's a wilderness area. You can't take motorized vehicles in there now, can you?
No. Well, there used to be a mine up there.
Yes.
And people...
And an airstrip.
Yes, they have. But the people from town, they camp out there, and most of them start getting lost, the people that are not used to the area. So they have to send out a search party for them or something to find where they're at or something, and so the government put a stop to that and said no more of that.
Well, they've even torn down the buildings on the highway there,
yes,
haven't they? At mile 442, there used to be like a little
There's
motel.
There's one or two buildings still
and Bud's
standing.
Cabin and all, they took that away.
Yes, it's in a park now.
Oh, it's a park?
It's a park now. Where Brother Branham camp or something, it's still the way it is, like the way you saw it.
Okay.
Yeah, the government won't let anybody near that place. No camping, no fires or anything. They reserve just that area, just maybe God, well, I don't know to this day. You can walk through it, but there's no disturbance in that area they reserve just that area
now,
where Brother Branham stayed with the South.
But your family's camp was about 15 miles further into the wilderness, wasn't it?
No, that's Moose Lake.
Moose Lake, okay.
Yeah.
But how far off the road was your original camp?
4 miles.
4 miles. Well, that's where I went. And then I also went to Moose Lake, but...
You went to Groundhog Creek?
Yeah, I came by there and saw the place, that's all. But then when we were going into Moose Lake there.
Yes.
Now, how many of your family still living now?
There's I got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. All the rest has gone on.
But Oscar has passed away?
Yes.
You told me at noon today that Oscar didn't obey the Lord fully, and
that's
you felt
why
like God took him off the scene.
Yeah, just before he went, he'd seen Brother Branham in a vision.
Okay.
And he said he was standing on a velvet carpet and he said he was going around the world like this. He said he's got a Bible in his hand, and Oscar said, he pointed to him and said, he'll be leaving the world soon because Oscar is an entertainer he loved to sing, he plays guitar, and he sing these worldly music. And I think this is why Brother Branham talked to him about it and told him you shouldn't sing those things. But he didn't understand, I don't think. But he just kept on and kept on. And
Now, then, would you tell us the experience of your brother that came crying, wanting the baptism of the Holy Ghost?
oh, that was the second year when I wrote out when that picture was taken. That's when you were riding in the front, were you?
Yeah.
And when Brother Branham was waiting for me up the trail or something like that. That's when we rode side by side. And because his heart desire was he wanted to see me and he wanted to spend some time with me. So God grant him his heart desire. So that was the highlight of my life at that time. Yes, I praise the Lord for it. I thank God for it.
But then this was that member of your family that came out wanting.
Yeah, Mom and Dad came out because he only a few minutes, because they were waiting for him on the hill, Bud and the hunters, and they were on a hunt. So anyway, I told Mom, I said, Brother Branham is here, and he just wants to see how you're doing. And here Mom was talking to Brother Branham in Indian, and he was talking to her in English, and she heard him talk in Indian. So they didn't need an interpreter at that time because Mom said, oh yeah, I heard, I know what you're saying, you know. And Angus come running out, and he said, Brother Branham, he said, I done everything I could. He said, I repented, I said all my prayers. He said, I'm trying to receive the Holy Ghost. He said, when can I get it? And he said, son, receive the Holy Ghost now. And Angus was so happy, and you know, and because we were taught different in Catholic, you know, you have to repent, you have to do this or that, you know. And when he told Angus that, he was a changed man after. He received the Holy Ghost. He had his heart desire now. He's just waiting to be baptized now. So my husband is waiting to be baptized. Pray for him, please. And I got a brother, Walter, and I got a niece and nephews. They want to be baptized. Their mom and dad have been baptized, but their children, they need to be baptized and get right with the Lord. Yes.
How does this make me feel whenever she says this to me on the phone and says they're waiting to be baptized? What does that make this old man want to do? Get on a plane and go to Canada. Now.
Okay. When I phoned Brother Harold, and he said, sister, he said, I got so much to do, I can't come. But I said, brother, you preach a person should be baptized, and they should get desperate for it. I said, these people are desperate. I said, why don't you come? I said, we'll even pay you a fare, whatever we got. But he said, oh, I got too many schedules ahead of me.
Louise, do you want me to come before the ice melts or after?
Maybe right now.
Right
40
now?
below.
How many of you folks think somebody should go?
Yes.
All right. Okay. You heard that.
Yes.
They want somebody to come.
Yes. Yeah, I want everybody
And
to hear this.
I'm not that busy. I can make time for things like that. I went to Turkey and baptized 6 people, all the way over there, because somebody said, come help us. Now, this same man that Brother Branham said receive the Holy Ghost now, he's the one that had the supernatural experience on the lake, wasn't he?
Yes, he did.
Tell us about that.
He walked across. Well, Angus had a habit of drinking too. You know, he relapsed. You know what I mean? he get tempted too, like, and there was Elsie, Maggie, Rose, and George. They were other side the lake, and they seen Angus. He was waving at them. He want them to come and take him across, and my sister Elsie got the idea. He said, "Oh no, don't pick him up. Look like he's drinking." And George said, "He's got nothing on him." He said, "But he always got his pack back." He said, "Maybe he's drinking." So Angus waited for them, but it seemed like nobody was going to come across to get him. So he went in a bush. He went in a willows and said, "Lord," he said, "you let Peter walk across the lake one time." He said, "Can I do the same thing too?" Yeah, just by faith. He prayed, he knelt down and prayed, and that's all he said. So by faith, he walked across the lake. And and those who saw him coming, they were, and Elsie told Maggie, he said, "Go run, go check his moccasin, see if it's wet." And here comes Maggie running, and he said, "Can I, check your feet or something?" And Angus said, "What's wrong?" He said, "You guys are too lazy to pick me up. Now you guys all come running." And he kept walking up the trail because he lived 5 miles up the lake.
How far is it across this lake?
It's on a picture. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. It's not just a little stream. It's a lake.
Yeah, it's a lake. Yes, yes. He walked across the lake, and that
didn't
summer,
get his moccasin wet.
Yeah, everybody was talking about it. People in town were talking about it. They couldn't believe that happened nowadays. And some Catholics naturally say, "Oh, somebody bewitched him," They thought it was somebody cast a spell on him or something, Why would that be, But those Christians that are true believers, they know if you ask, you shall receive. Because he simply walked in a bush and asked the Lord, "You done this for Peter in your days, can you do this for me?" Because it seemed like nobody was going to come and get him. So that's what he did. It's just
So the
simple.
Lord provided a way.
The Lord provided a way.
There was a time when I personally asked Brother Branham, I had heard the story of the caribou and the bear, and all the different details about it. It's like, there was to be an animal that Brother Branham had not seen before. He said a very large deer, but it had this horn out over its face. But he didn't recognize it as a caribou because it didn't have a shovel. It had a point on it. The horns were to be exactly 42 inches long. He saw the little hand that held the tape measure on it. And after he killed it, there was to be a man with a green checkered shirt on. And he had told the vision to people, and nobody in the camp had a green checkered shirt. And it wasn't discovered until Brother Biscoe fell in the creek and got wet, and he and Brother Branham and Bud were off getting the animal, and Brother Ed changed shirts while they were on the trip, and then after they'd killed the caribou, they looked back down the hill, and there's a green checkered shirt. It's with the boys and the horses. Well, then between here and there, the vision had said that Brother Branham would kill a silver-tip grizzly, which Bud said, "I've never seen one in the area." And you all call that place Bear Mountain now, don't you?
Grizzly Summit.
Grizzly Summit.
Grizzly Summit.
Grizzly Summit. They've named it Grizzly Summit because of that. And they could see it, and they passed the spot, turn around and look back, and there he is. Bud was afraid, even after Brother Branham had killed the caribou, and they had him caped out and had the horns, almost back to camp. No place for him to be seen. Bud even said, "Well, he's got to come out of the ground or fall out of the sky." And Brother Branham turned and looked and says, "Well, what's that up there? Is that a cow?" And they look, and Bud says, "Well, look, if God gave him to you, then shoot him from here." And Brother Branham said, No, In the vision, I was closer than this. Well, Brother Branham, you don't have a gun to shoot him with. Let's go to camp and get another gun. No, I shot him with this little 270 with a 180 grain bullet. Bud said, well, shoot him in the back. Otherwise, he'll be on top of us. He said, no, in the vision, I shot him in the heart. Right. So they got up close enough, about 250 yards. Brother Branham shot him, and you know, Brother Branham said before he get the second shell in the rifle, the bear was almost on top of him. And Bud threw a rock at him, and so, you know, see if he was dead or alive. And then he turns to Brother Branham and said, if God told you to shoot him with a BB gun, I'd follow you with him, you know. And they couldn't keep him, couldn't skin him out today, but that's the grizzly bear skin that's up in the den. That's the one that was in the den when first time I went there, and Brother Branham had me stand on it. In fact, he'd been delivered 2 days before and had me stand in the middle of it. And after he slipped his arms around me and prayed for me, the same prayer he'd prayed 14 years before behind the city auditorium in Beaumont, Texas, which told me what I was supposed to be doing, even like tonight. And then Brother Branham gave me that rock, which he said was a brown bear. Have you ever seen my rock, Louise?
No.
Oh, you haven't.
You have.
First time I went to the den, Brother Branham gave me this rock and told me that was a brown bear. And I've carried it with me ever since. It just reminds me that I had the privilege to see a prophet. I thought I was going to get to kill one, but it turned out to be something altogether different, you know. So, but anyway, I've said that because I wondered after I read this about this story, Brother Branham, why did God show you these animals? And I told you folks this morning that Brother Branham told me that it was God's grace to him, because how much courage does it take to stand in front of 5,000 people and say, your name is Al Peterson or Minnie or those of us that he's called out? He said, that was just God showed me that if he could do that to the animals, he could do that to us too. Amen. But then, you know, that's what he did to David when he gave David a lion and a bear. But in reading the quotes this afternoon, there was 46 pages of them that the staff produced for me. I found another one. Brother Branham said, God knew that my mother was going to die. And he said, he gave me this experience to encourage me so that I'd have this to hold on to when I came back home and my mother died. And then I had heard it before, but it meant so much to me this afternoon. I'd like to tell you this, that Brother Branham had this vision of his mom. There was this person walking among all these little babies. And when the person got through passing through this group of children, they turned to bow their head, and Brother Branham said, out of reverence, I bowed my head. But then when she looked up, said it was my mom, and said she was just like she was in 1906. And he said, I run home and looked in the family Bible to see, well, what happened to that time? And that's when she was a bride to his dad. Amen. And he said, that's the way your mom is today. And, you know, God does these things for us to let us know that he loves us. Amen. And him calling Louise out, go tell Louise to come here.
Yes, and I was 2 or 3 miles out.
And her going to school to learn English. These things were not coincidence. Right. They were part of a plan. It's like this caribou, this old caribou with a white cape with a 42-inch horns. He wasn't a baby. But God knew this was going to happen even before Brother Branham had the vision. Yes. And the details. You know, if somebody foretells one thing, that's something. But if he tells 2, that makes the odds a little more. 3, 4, 5. And there was about 11 things in this vision. The green shirt, the bear, where he was, how he killed him, the size of the horns, the boy's hand. All of this was just like when he was 9, he saw the vision of the bridge being built. Well, that's something, but the place was another thing. But then a section of it fell. That's 3 things. But then there were 16 men fell to their death. Not 1, not 15, but 16. Well, every one of those makes the odds more. That makes that prophecy so much more powerful. that God saw that and showed it to a 9-year-old boy.
Thank you.
The things he did to you in your life, it's the same way, Louise.
Yes.
Now, you in the meantime, you've gotten married,
Yes.
and you were going to marry another person because when your father and another man were friends. Tell us that story. I know it, but tell us that.
Oh, I have to.
Okay.
Oh, that horse I'm standing by, it got a lot to do with this story. Before I start, before I was born, I was married.
You were pledged by your family.
I was pledged well, what happened was the mother of this horse, that Ada's mother, she was only 3 years old, and that was my dad's horse. Huh? And these people were crossing the river. It's Raisin River, now it's called Raisin River. And there were 7 of them. There was their dad and his sons. And they got stuck on the island. And Ireland, it's the river was rising high, and both river was like this, and they were all on the island. And Dad went hunting, and Mom wasn't with him then. Dad was just a young man. And anyway, one of the cousins, he was playing drum, trying to call on the spirit. He said, these white people are going to drown. He said, we're going to eyewitness this. Please, God, do something, you know. And Art, my dad's younger brother, went after him. He knew where Dad went hunting, because that's the only horse that was well trained. Dad trained that horse since he was a colt. So that horse understands when Dad talks to him. So he saddled that horse, that black horse, the mother of that horse I'm standing by. And they told that horse, go swim to the, go to the rescue in his language. So that horse swam across 7 times, packing these men to safety. And one of the young men was in there. And he said to Dad, Dad's first wife, they got maybe 2 or 3 children then. Mom wasn't with him at that time. And he said, Charlie, he said, if I ever get married, he said, if you ever got a daughter, he said, we'd like them to, to get, be man and, be man and wife.
Your father had the horse go rescue the man, and the man...
There's 7 of them, 7 brothers, and he was one of them.
And the man told your dad that he would like to have one of his sons, if he had one, marry one of your dad's daughters.
And he wasn't married then.
And you wasn't born either.
I wasn't born either. So as years went on, the Alaska Highway went through, and I was born, and meantime, he was a farmer. He turned a farmer, right? He's a farmer. And he got one older son, and he's got another son. And I didn't know I was promised to him. But his dad told him, he said, Grant, he said, that's your wife. And Mom said to me, he said, I think you're going to live next door, So I thought, live next door? And I thought I was going out and have a career, like what other girls do. But then it wasn't God's plan. When he was 17 years old, he drowned. So
his father was spared from drowning, but then your pledged fiance, which you didn't know, at 17, he drowned.
Yeah, he drowned. God took him off the earth. And I thought my life is over. Anything I live for, it's over. You know how young girls, they think, this is it. I don't want to go on anymore. You know, I got nothing to live for, and I got nothing to go, you know. And Mom and Dad, they were trying to comfort me, and they said, but they didn't tell me there'll be another, because once Indians, they promised, that's it. Yeah.
That's the Indian tradition.
Yeah, that's the end. So I have to stay single like that until I die. And that's their law. That's, anyway, years later, this same man, he saw me, and it was in Fort St. John. Him and his wife were parked outside, and I was with a friend, you might say a boyfriend, and I was in my 20s then. He stopped me. His name is Louise. He said, Louise, what are you doing with him? I said, we're just friends. And he said, I don't like it, he said. And he said, my wife wants to talk to you, he said. So I went over and talked to Winnie, and she said, are you all right? I said, oh, I'm fine. She said, what are you doing so far away from home? I said, I'm with a friend. And he said, Louise doesn't like that. I said, it's because of Grant, is it? And she said, yes. And so Ray and I didn't get along after he left, so I left. So I went single like that until I was about 38. That's when I met Russ. I met other men before, but because of the law said, once you promise to this person, you're not to marry. You know, only into his family. That is, if he's got any cousins or somebody like that. And maybe it was God's will, I don't know. Because these family I'm talking about, they're powerful family, they're rich. Anyway, I met Cheryl. Cheryl got a brother named Brad. And Brad and Grant, they almost look alike. And Cheryl said to me, you know, Louise, he said, you can go with Bradley, you know. Guess what happened? He died in a plane crash. That's all. So it wasn't God's will, you know, to be in that family. I don't know what it was. But the Lord was protecting me, I think. I believe it did. He was trying to protect me for some plan that he's got in the future. See, if I married a man, I would never be here. And I would never pay attention to the tape, like even Brother Branham or anything. I may have listened and just forgot about it. Because these people I'm talking about, they're very worldly. They're highly educated.
You were one of God's daughters, and he knew what you were. He didn't want you involved with it.
He was trying to protect me, and I thought it was, you know. So I praise God that he loved me enough to keep me safe like this. But because the people I'm talking about, they weren't Christian, because Grant was laughing at any miracle or anything like that. Like he just laughed. Huh? He said, because he said there's no God. You know, that's the kind of person I was promised to.
That was that family.
Yeah, that was that family. Yeah.
Now, when we started this, you mentioned about the Indian prophets, and you made a comment that I caught, and I wanted to, if you'd expand on it if you could. Whenever they prophesied this, then every little boy that was born,
they thought it would be him.
They thought that would be him. Just like Brother Branham said when the prophet Isaiah prophesied, all the women started knitting their little booties and everything.
Yeah.
And did you remember you catch that whenever she said that?
Yes.
And so then when Brother Branham came along, your family, your mom and your dad, and those that had heard this, they recognized Brother Branham being
Yes.
that fulfillment?
That's when, yes, Mom said, now we can die happily because we've seen the prophet, she said.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
And this pledging that the Indians did, that was a very serious thing with them, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a
you know
very
that's
serious
Jewish
matter.
law too. You
Yes.
know, if there was a man
Like-
married to a woman and the man died, then a brother had to take the wife. And
Yes.
Jesus even asked, whose wife would she be there? And then these traditions and things that you talk about that your family, the Indians, participated in and believed. It reminded me when Brother Jackson was in South Africa, and those natives had set the bait for the lion hunt that night, and they built a little fire, and they were offering the sacrifice of the mealie meal and the tobacco,
Yes,
and bathing themselves in the smoke. Brother Jackson said Brother Branham got down out of the truck and went and knelt down and started doing the same thing they were doing. And Brother Jackson said to himself, Brother Branham, do you know what you're doing? And when Brother Branham got finished and he came back, Brother Branham asked Brother Jackson, do you know what they were doing? And he was saying, this goes back to their forefathers because they believed that the Great Spirit took care of their forefathers, and they wanted that same Spirit to come take care of them, just like the people used to pray, where is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? They didn't know God, but they knew that their forefathers had known him.
Yes.
And so it was the same with your family.
Yes.
What they didn't know. But folks, I think a lot of us educated heathens are going to be really surprised someday
Yes.
when we get on the other side and see all the predestinated seed that God has had, that he's brought from every nation, kindred, tongue, and people, that they didn't have the privilege and the opportunities you and I did, but they didn't need them because God had other ways he was bringing them in. And this encourages
Yes.
me. Her talking about the man walking across the lake. I had an experience where Brother Cheryl and I ran into this in Indonesia. We're a group of people that were raised in the Muslim culture, but somebody had made an error with the American Bible Society, and instead of sending 10,000 Bibles to Indonesia, they had sent 1 million Bibles, and they were allowed in the country, and just reading the Bible, there was a revival broke out over there in the 60s and 70s. And this group of people started a church one night, and the river came up, and they prayed, and the whole congregation walked across the river. And the word of that went throughout the land, and it brought more revival. Not what we'd call a revival of everybody speaking in tongues or shouting everything, but it was a new beginning of a dedication and belief in Almighty God. And that is a revival.
Yes.
And that's what happens here now. How many people did you say was ready to be baptized?
Oh, this Russ, Angus.
Now, Russ
Walter.
is your husband now.
Yes.
Now, he allows you to read the Bible and hear the tapes, and
No, he's reading the book himself now.
that's what I mean.
Yes.
But he lets you follow Brother Branham's message,
Yes.
and he does himself.
Yes, he does himself. We got all the pictures on the wall at home. We live in an apartment. So he testified to his neighbors about Brother Branham, about the pillar of fire and all that. And he's got books, the spoken word book that he reads. Yes. And we got
How
some
long have y'all
tapes.
been married, Louise?
About, he said 45 years. I said about 35.
Long time, anyway. Huh? There were no children.
No, there was no children. He has 2 girls
Okay,
from his first wife.
okay.
See, his first wife, Lel, I met her, and she's a very nice person. I like Lel. Yes. So,
Is she still alive?
no, she's gone on.
Oh, she passed on,
Yeah.
but you had known her before, huh?
Yes, I met her.
And who besides Russ now?
He's got 2 daughters.
No, I mean it wants to be baptized.
Angus and Walter. Dion, Bobby,
We've got pictures of them,
Yeah,
don't we?
Dion, Harvey,
Okay.
Bradley Sorrell, Allison.
Is Bradley related to Wanda?
It's her son.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes. And
Wanda is the one that's friend with George and Becky's children, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
and Allison, her sister. His
Allison?
sister. Yeah, Wanda's daughter. Yeah,
Oh,
those are the ones that want to be.
Well, that sounds like quite a revival, a congregation, doesn't it? Good.
And a sister asked me, he said, is there any question where you come from? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't think so. But I said, my husband said there was a couple picking up the same books that I do. He said, you know, like those tapes, how they come in like that. He watched a guy taking it out of his mailbox. I said, why didn't you ask him if it was a Christian? He said, oh, I don't want to be nosy. I said, you should have asked him. And he said, they look like Christians, he said.
Now, y'all don't have a church or anything around there, do you?
We have a Catholic church, Pentecostal. I used to go to that Pentecostal church until, well, it's not what it used to be, no.
Yeah, we know that. You
No,
look like a fanatic,
just,
don't you?
no. Yeah, we have a Lions Church beside us where we live. Yeah.
Okay, but you have Brother Branham's messages?
The messages, and I get the CDs from here. From here?
Oh, you hear us here?
Yes, I heard you here, because I heard my husband one time I put on Brother Bennett's tape, and he said, who is that? He said, put him on again. He said, man, he sure knows what he's talking about. He said. And I said, how about Brother Green? And he said, oh, he talked real loud. I said, so do you.
Tell me, do you have all of Brother Branham's messages now?
Not all of it, not all. Well, I got some, but not all of it.
But you do have an MP3 player now, don't you?
Yes, I have now, yes.
Where'd you get that?
From here.
Really?
Praise God, yes.
I thought it came from somebody in Canada.
No, it was from here. It was
Well,
sent to me.
we
Yes.
instructed the people in Saskatoon to send it to you.
The Saskatoon, yes.
Yeah.
They must
Brother
have,
Kelly
yeah.
and them did that for us.
My brother, Walter, and Rose, they watch movie every evening. Huh? I think I wrote to you about it. They watch these worldly shows.
Yeah.
So I want them to get some testimony, you know, on their, what is that? They got CD or something?
DVD.
DVD, yeah.
Digital
And
video disc.
one day Maggie come in and Walter was watching this war show, huh? And Maggie said, why so many people dying? And Walter said, don't worry about them. He said, they're all in heaven, he said. And I think Maggie got on Walter's nerves about something. They always arguing, huh? And he was trying to borrow something from him, and he wouldn't allow it because she doesn't bring it back on time. So Walter tells Maggie, Walter said to, Maggie said to Walter, he said, when I get up there, he said, I'm going to tell God on you. And Walter said, there's too many people up there. He said, there's no room for you up there. They were arguing like that. They just among themselves. Yeah. He thought all the people that died in the war, they're all in the presence of the Lord. And when I told Sister Irvine, she said, oh no, they're not, she said. She said, they're not all up there, she said.
Was that in movies?
They were watching the movie.
Yeah, but then they're all resurrected for the next movie too, you know.
And for the next movie, resurrected.
They get killed over and over and over and over again in those movies,
Well,
you know.
you see, Walter and Maggie, when they watch shows like that, they thought it really happens. You know, like
Yeah.
when people shooting at one another, and because I don't know how that works. I never watched these movie makers. Anyway, that's what he was talking about. Yeah.
Okay. You used to work. I know that a few years ago you were a maid, like at the Super 8 motel
Yes, Super
or
8.
Days Inn or some of those, and then you became the maintenance supervisor,
Yeah.
didn't you? Can
Yes.
you do all those things, plumbing and
Oh no,
repairs?
just a janitor.
Use the janitor?
Yes, just a janitor.
Okay. Are you still working?
No, a year ago I quit because I realized I was neglecting my husband. So I thought, hey, we're not getting any younger. So I told the boss I want 2 weeks off. I think I lied to her because I didn't go back. And Russ kept saying, they keep phoning here. I said, just tell her I'm not here. And he said, I'll be lying then. I said, when did she phone? He said, just the other day. I said, what do you want me to tell her? He said, well, it's up to you. So anyway, I talked to Charlene, that's her name. I said, Charlene, I said, I don't want you to keep the job open for me. I said, I just want to stay home more now. And she said, if I need you, can I call you? I said, yes, you can. So I've been home since. So I enjoyed it. I enjoy cooking and sewing and looking after the husband. And sometimes we'll go up the highway to visit my brother and sisters. We spend a day or two up there in the wilderness with them. I like that. Yeah.
If I could ask you, how are you living? Do you have a pension or?
Oh, I'm not on pension yet because I've been working. I'm on UI, what they call UI.
Okay.
Unemployed. Yes.
You're on that now?
I'm on that now, yes.
Well, did the Canadian government give you tribal
Yes,
members some kind of a settlement or something?
Well,
I
this
know
is
for
what
years
we're,
y'all were battling that to try to.
oh, this, another thing, this is what we're facing too, it's the land claim.
A land claim, you understand that?
I think it's a trick of the enemy. I shouldn't get into the matter too much, but
Yeah.
I'm so much involved now, there's no way I could back out of it. You see, the government lawyer got the picture of him standing by the horse, the whole book.
What it was is they were trying to prove that her family, the tribe,
Live there.
didn't occupy this piece of property. But they got a hold of the generation book that showed some pictures and the testimony, and now you go ahead.
Yes, and now this lawyer borrowed a book. And he
Borrowed
said,
the generation book.
yeah, for 3 days only, he said. So 3 days later, I phoned the land claim office. I said, Madeline, tell Jason to send that book. I said, where is it? And she said, Louise, I didn't even know he had it. I said, would you phone him today then? He's in Fort St. John. Yeah? So she said, I did, but he said he still got the book, but he's not sending it back. And Russ was worried because he liked the book. Yeah? And he said, now you lost the book. He said, now what you going to do? He was more upset than I was. Anyway, and 3 months later, he brought it back. And I said, where was this book? And he said, I had to send it to Ottawa without telling you, he said. I said, why Ottawa? And he said, that's where my boss was, he said. I said, the government? He said, well, you know, when the land claim is on, he said, the Indians, they got to prove everything. Yeah? He said, all that statement in there, he said, it's a very good testimony. He said, I had to use that to prove that your family did live there. Yes. And now the Yukon Indians are suing the BC Indians, like Fort Nelson Indian Band, they're suing them over Montreux Lake. and over where we live, and they want to claim that. And they got two most powerful lawyers, like they said, and we got one lawyer that has all the evidence and everything that a lawyer needs. But these two lawyers from Yukon, they got nothing. They have no evidence. They got no, like they told the elders up in the Yukon, write your family history and bring it to us to prove that you did live there. But nobody came forward. I'm the only one that came forward and told these lawyers where the family used to live. So before I came a week ago, I talked to her and I said, what does it look like to you? And she said, okay, he said, you guys got more evidence than the Yukon Indians have, because they have nothing. But you have all the evidence. He said, look like you're on the winning side, he said. So I just, maybe it's God's will, I don't know which way.
And who was it that asked about me?
It's that the lawyer did. Because he saw Brother Green's picture in there in the story, and he said, who's this Brother Green? He said, where does he come from? Where is he now? I said, he's in Tucson. I said, didn't you read what it says in there? He's still there. I said, he should be. and so I gave him your number, so you should be getting a phone call any time now.
Thanks for warning me.
Yeah, because he wants you to confirm that you did see the family living up there in, like, say, 1963 or something like that. You know, he just wants somebody to make a statement and say, yes, I did see these family living there at that time.
Well, I did.
And, you know.
And Brother Billy Paul did.
He did too.
Yes.
Yes. So.
And there were other brothers too. Brother Sothman saw it. Brother Briscoe saw it. So there's a multitude of us that saw it. And I think every one of those brothers will come if they're needed. Yes. You can count on that. Mm-hmm. Now, can we show these pictures? Would you like to see some pictures? Okay. They're going to be down here where we can see them, but
okay.
Are y'all going to put them on the screen, or what are we going to do? Or is that where they're going to have to see them? Okay.
Oh, they're up here too.
Yeah. Now look, you see this thing right here? See it?
Yes.
Well.
This was in 1950.
On the ceiling?
It's on the ceiling.
Well, I wasn't pointing at the ceiling. Yeah, there it is. Well, it don't show on that screen.
It does on that.
Okay.
Not so clear.
Can you take this thing and you see that button right there? Mm-hmm. Okay, you look up here and you identify these people.
Okay, I have to do it. This one is Richard Bain. This is Pat. She's gone on. And that's me. This is Lucy. She's still living. Lucy Neatley. Elaine, Pat's sister. She's still living. Eddie, my brother, he's gone on. Janet, she's a nurse in Vancouver now. We all went to residential school.
That is, they took you away from your parents and sent you to a school. And it was run by the Catholics. Now, that's exactly what the United Nations has proposed to do to all children of the world now. To take the children away from the parents. And the parents have no more authority. Now, they've already done it in the world, just like they did at Louise. She was a victim of that. Okay, next one.
Oh,
that's a picture of the camp.
Yeah, this is the cabin. It's not there now, but it's just the logs are still there. My brother, he tore it down because people were starting to party in there. So he wanted to keep it for keepsake. That's my dad standing in front of the cabin.
Where's your dad? Where?
It's right in front of the cabin there. You
There,
can
huh?
hardly
Okay.
see him. He's right there.
Okay.
And Mom is there
That's him right
somewhere
there.
with Lucy, Rose, Maggie, and Angus
And-
is a
and
baby right
what were
here
these
by the
things?
tent.
What were these things over here?
Those, the cache, that's what they call. In them days, the Indians, they built cache to keep everything stored. They call it storage room. To, you know, it's high, so the animals wouldn't get at it.
Oh,
You know,
you put it
like,
up there and
yeah.
the bear couldn't climb up there to get
Yeah,
it?
the cache. Yeah.
Okay. Now, does that mountain have a name?
Yeah, right there. It's not there anymore.
Does that mountain have a name?
That one, no. They just call it bus.
Okay.
Bus mountain. It's shaped like a bus. Huh?
All right, the next one.
Now, you're all familiar with that.
Yeah, now that's Brother Bud Southwick walking over there.
And
That's Brother Branham and that's Oscar.
And Oscar.
And that's the time when Bud had lost his horse and Brother Branham told him he'd get him back, and then Oscar's told Brother Branham, "You're a prophet." And Brother Branham prayed and the Lord showed him to tell Oscar where the horses were. I wasn't on this trip. The next one?
This is where Angus walked across the
Right there.
lake right here. This is Angus right there. I can't see. I couldn't.
My
find
pictures down here is a lot better than yours.
it. It showed clear.
It won't be after
There's
next
no
weekend,
light
though.
Here. Oh yeah, here it is. This is Angus getting into his boat.
Okay?
Here's where he walked across this lake here. And he went in a bush in the willows right here to pray. And the family was camped over here. This is the lake. This is called Moose Lake. It's 15 mile long up and 3 miles across.
Does that pyramid-shaped mountain back there have a name?
No,
Okay.
that doesn't have a name.
Okay, next one.
Now, here's the rainbow where the prophet camped when he come up to go out hunting with the Southwick. And this is our trail here. There are foot trails here.
Yeah.
Here's the rainbow. It comes up every
see the
morning.
rainbow?
Every morning.
You see the rainbow right
Yes.
there? Maybe see a little of it. But she's got a clearer one of that.
That's a beautiful one.
But the fog comes in and settles like this, and when the sun shines on it, there's a rainbow right across there. She says every
you
morning.
could hardly see it. It's real clear on there.
Next one.
Oh, this is mile 442. This is the mountain you're looking at. Here's my older brother, Walter. And this is my late brother, George. He's gone on. This is how they travel, and that's the snow you see in the background there. That's what it looked like in the winter time. And Alaska Highway is just down here, just down below here, Alaska Highway.
Now, there used to be some buildings along here, didn't
Yeah.
there? Were there some buildings along the side of the road at one time?
Yeah, they got a.
But they tore them down.
They got a cabin there. They got
Okay.
they got,
Next one.
Yeah,
Can you see the rainbow there?
yeah. There's a.
Very clear down here on the colored set.
Now,
Right
that's
there.
where the Indian prophet lived, who prophesied there's a prophet coming.
Right here.
The camp is here, down here, somewhere in the trees here. And the Toad River runs back here. The Toad River is here in the behind the bush here. And this is where the prophet that prophesied there's a prophet coming. They used to camp right here. So the day when I rode out with Brother Branham, he looked at me because we're silent family. We could read sign, eh? And he looked at me and he looked that way and he said, "Is that where, you know?" And it dawned on me that he knew that.
He knew that was a special place.
Yes, he knew that was a special.
That God had
place.
visited somebody there.
Yes.
Next one.
Now, these are just my friends. This is Summit Lake
Summit Lake.
on Alaska Highway. these are just some friends that this is Jeannie, this is Henry Colette, her husband, that's their truck. This is Russ, our truck is here.
This is Russ?
Yeah, this is Russ right here.
That's your husband?
Yes.
Oh, he's like me, he's a big man.
And anyway, every fall we all get together. The whole family does. Because Jeannie and I, we say, we don't know, maybe this year it's your turn to go or your turn to leave the world or something. So we all go out for picnics like this in the mountains like that.
That's wonderful. That looks like some kind of roadside memorial or something.
Summit Lake right here.
Okay.
The American tourists, they camp right here in the summer.
Okay.
It's all parked down. All this is all parked. And here's a tourist camp right here. And this lake opens late in May.
It's still cold, though.
It's cold. Look at how cold.
Don't get warm till August. Next one?
No, August, it's July. Now, this is my older sister, Maggie. She was born 1930. She's sitting on the brush that...
Yeah, there's the brush.
Yeah. This is her camp.
The brush bow.
This is how they live in the wilderness. They're 9 miles out in the bush.
And there's the refrigerator.
Yeah. And there's a creek run back here, which she goes, she's got a trail there. She pick up these pails and she go get water and she get wood and she just, just
Does she still live there, Louise?
She's the one that come running to be baptized.
Yeah, does she still live there?
She never spoke English. She just speak sign language.
Does she still live there now?
Yes, she's still living.
Still lives there?
Yes.
Oh, my.
That's her and Walter, they were arguing about, there's no room for you up there. Walter was telling her because
All right, then I apologize for these pictures. We'll show them to you clear, I promise you, when we get the new projector up here next week. The next one?
it's clear right here, though.
Now, who are
here's
these?
the Angus right here. Hope the picture would show clear. Here's the Angus, Russ, and my late brother George. They're standing in front of the cabin, that groundhog cabin here.
Okay, and that's your husband in the middle.
He's the one that wanted the baptism of the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, the one ran out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Next one?
Here's our camp where the pillar of fire appeared. Right over this dope here. Russ wasn't a believer then. He got up one morning and he said, there's something strange. Did you notice it? I said, what is it? And he said, I snap a picture. He said, I hope it'll come out. He said, there's something funny over the tent. He said, every morning, he said. So one morning he got up early and he said, come and see then. And here was something like a rainbow just right over here, like this, like a rainbow color, amber color. And here where we camped, the bear never bothered us, although they're all around us. Like they would have wrecked the camp. It wasn't God's will for them to do, One day I was alone here for at least 12 hours because he went to town, the truck broke down, and I was here alone with a gun only. And by God's grace, there's nothing, I didn't see a bear or grizzly. I wasn't, because I got the tapes on there and I had a little loudspeaker and I kept the tape going. Yeah, yeah. That's one way to be protected when you're out in nowhere's land.
Bear-proof.
To keep the voice of God all around you, You feel protected and you're safe.
Yeah, Jordan, y'all come set this thing up on this stage. And at least the first half here can see these bricks right here. So much prettier with this.
This is clearer than that.
Well, it's because that's an old machine back
Oh.
there, and it's about wore out. And we've got a new one coming this week, and it's going to be mounted up here, and it'll be as bright as this one. But yeah, probably so too. But most of you can see this one when we get it up here too.
Yeah, this is more clear that way.
Can you see that now?
Is
Now
that
that'll make you
clear?
move to the front.
Yeah.
Huh? Hey, bring it to the center aisle, they're saying. Well, I know it's too low. I know it's not big enough. I know not everybody can see it. But if you really want to see it, come on down front.
Yeah, come to the front.
That'll take care of it, won't it, Brother Jeff? There's a vacant seat right there. If somebody wants to really see it. Huh? Come on, it won't hurt you to move down here. Yeah. Sister Green said, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But Paul stood up and motioned with his hand for people to come forward. So we're being scriptural. Now, the next one.
No.
That Maggie?
Yeah, that's Maggie and Walter. They always argue back and forth.
Oh my, that's Pearry and
They
Jamie,
need
Pearry
your
and
prayer.
Sammy.
And here's my cousin Peter, and this is Rose. Her and I were in the field when I was called.
She's the one who was cutting hay
Yes.
with you with a machete.
Yes, she's
Okay.
the one. And
Is she a believer?
I don't know.
Well, is she still living?
Oh, yeah, she believed, yes.
Okay.
But you know how sisters are,
They're just sisters. All right, next one.
now that's her at mile 9. This is Rose at mile 9. That's her little dog here.
It's
that
a little
protects
dog?
her, yeah, when the bear comes or something. And she's sitting in front of her bedroll. She's leaning against her bedroll. And here's a campfire here where they cook. And all their groceries is here. And they just use a tarp over their head. There's no protection all around. That's how they sleep at night.
They sleep
Yeah.
on the Bruce sprout,
On
then
the
they cover
spruce
with a
bark.
blanket or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
then they put a tarp over them.
Yeah.
That
Tarp
keeps
over.
the snow and the
Yes.
wetter off. Does the water run underneath them any?
Yes.
I see. I thought so.
And they got no protection, like this side and that side, they're wide open. They sleep like that. I don't mind in June and July, but in August when, the weather's getting cooler, it's nice up there. It's mile 9, that's where the family used to live at one time.
Okay, next one.
Oh, that looks familiar, huh?
Who we got here?
That's, Russ's friend took this. This is Russ, and this is me. And you ever heard of this, they call Terry Fox Run? They have that every fall up there to raise money for cancer people. This is what they were doing up
Okay.
there. Yeah, all these runners, they were going by us. They had to run about 5 miles. So
Okay.
there's a water stand here, and we help give them out whatever they need, like to drink of water or something.
Okay, a water stand.
Yes.
Okay. Next. Was one of them the postcard? Did I pass?
Yes.
Huh?
The
Oh, that
postcard,
was
it
the
wasn't-
camp. Oh,
that was
yeah,
the
the first
camp,
one was a
yeah.
postcard
Yeah.
that was published and used to be sold on the highway.
I didn't
Okay.
bring Mom and Dad's picture, although I got it. I didn't
Okay.
bring Brother Branham's Bible either.
You
I
got
got
a-
it here. I
you-
got it here.
You have a Bible of Brother Branham's?
Yes,
Where'd you get that? He give it to you?
he sent it to me.
He sent you a Bible?
Yes.
Okay. He wrote something in it?
He wrote his name on it. Yes,
Okay.
I got that Bible. And in there is Mom and Dad's picture in there, and all the brother and sisters sitting by the campfire. I should have brought that. That's the only one I missed. I got it here with me, but it's not here.
Okay, and we didn't take a digital photo of the one of you and Brother Branham and the horse that I took that's in the generation book.
Yes.
Is there any of you that have not seen that picture?
Oh, they have.
Okay. If you read the generation book, it's there. Now, okay, anybody would like to ask Sister Louise a question? If you can ask her in her native tongue, you're welcome to speak up.
Yes.
Or speak in your native tongue, and the Spirit of the
Yeah,
Lord
let's hope.
will reveal it to her, huh?
Yes.
Sister Holmquist?
Yes.
We've met Louise before, but how many years has it been since you were here?
I say 7? No?
Yeah, you came with Sister Bilderberger?
Sister Billy.
Billy.
Yes, Sister
Okay.
Billy, yes. Yes.
Oh, was it in the 70s or 80s?
70s, yes, I stayed with them, yes.
Yeah.
Homequest, I stayed with them.
I don't know, did you have a reason why you wanted to know the date?
Yes.
Well, I didn't recognize her today when I saw her.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
lost weight.
Yeah.
I wanted her formula when I saw her this morning. But then I see her husband, you know, and he and I got the same problem. We got good cooks. And she's not working full time anymore. She's taking care of her
Staying home,
husband.
Yes.
She's serving God by serving her husband. Brother Robert Figueroa, Jr.
Yeah, those people that live in that tent that's got the sides open, that they sleep there.
Yes.
How cold does it get there in the winter?
Oh, it's not in the winter time. They live like that in the springtime until fall, like say late in September. Yeah, they build big bonfire in the front, and they keep warm like that. They like it like that. Yeah.
And he said that Maggie there, against her bedroll, she had nothing but a tarp they pulled over their bedding at night.
Yeah, that's all they have. And, you know, and there's grizzlies all around them, you know, and why they never got attacked, I'll never know, you know. And she goes to get water 2 3 miles to a creek with a pail in her hand. And a dog in one, you know, she's got a dog to warn her if there's any danger. The dog is her protector. So when the dog sent something, and then she knows there's danger around. But then it never happened to her before, so she's so used to it. She go and get her water and then just go home.
And
You know.
do they live off of wild meat? They hunt a lot?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Yeah. And of course, they don't have to have hunting license and permits, do
No, they don't. No, I don't either.
they? Do any of them do any trapping now, Louise?
When Mom and Dad were still with us, but my brother Angus, he is on and off.
Okay, now which
Yeah.
one of them lives up there and still has horses up there?
Yeah, that's Angus, the one that walk across the water.
And what does Angus do with those horses? Does he rent them to the
He
to
said he
the
got 25
to the outfitter?
Not this year, I don't think, but I know he used them for his own use. Like he take out his own hunt, He take out his own hunt like
He takes somebody hunting?
Yes,
He can do that legally? They'll let him do that?
yes.
Okay.
If the hunters are in BC, if they're from BC,
Oh,
they allow,
locals.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But not American hunters. You gotta have a license for that, a special license to.
We could go with him though and use a camera instead of a gun and go legally.
Hey, that would be, you know, the youth camp is coming up. Yes, the youth camp is coming up again in Moose Lake. Yeah, and only thing is, it's not a Christian camp. It's very disappointing. All the people that are looking after the children, they're all on drugs. Because some of my relatives are involved, like Marty and Wanda. Wanda is not there too often, but Marty is, because he taxes the people back and forth with his motorboat. Yeah. Like he hauled the government people up to Moose Lake from the highway. He takes them, it's just 1 day trip. And he said it only 20 minutes to get there. So he hauled their stuff up there and he hauls them back.
On horses?
No, motorboat.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. This way they don't use
Louise,
horses
if a
there.
group of our young people wanted to come up there and pay a visit, could Angus or somebody show them where to camp? And
Yes,
as long as they didn't hunt, they could, but use cameras, huh?
yes, they could.
Okay.
Because they could also join the youth camp, why not? Because it's free to everybody. You know, this Jason Lee, I'm telling you, the one that stole the book, yeah, he's the one that, he's in charge of the camp.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Brother Arnie, or who, somebody got a,
Sister Louise, do you recall telling me something that Brother Branham told you when you wanted that career, and he told you about taking care of your parents?
What was
Do you
it?
recall that?
okay, we can't, who you are, Jana?
Jana.
Okay,
Oh, Jana, yes.
Do you recall telling me about Brother Branham telling you something about taking care of your own parents?
Oh, to take care of mom and dad.
Yes.
Yes. That's when he said I was going away to be an RN. And what my heart desire was to work in an operating room. But he said work for the Lord. Like,
Well, you told us
it's
that
the
at the
same,
beginning.
Yes, it's the same. He said only this is in spiritual, he said. Like I could be a head nurse. I could still be work in an operating room. Like if I, like he said, you got a spirit to do it, he said. And I said, but what I want is, you know, to be an RN, to work in a big hospital like Vancouver or something like that. This is what I was going in for. This is what I was trying to do. But he said, be a nurse for the Lord. Yes, he said, be a nurse for the Lord.
is that what
And-
you're talking about, Jan?
Yes. And yes, he also said to take care of mom and dad. And the Lord will give you a husband, he said, and which he did.
Well, that's a little addition. You didn't say that a while ago, but I guess I assumed that, so that's right. Brother Branham told you to be a nurse for the Lord, but then take care of your parents, and God would take care of
Yes,
the desire of your heart.
yes,
That's scriptural. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he'll give you the desire of your heart.
yes.
Honor thy father and mother, and he'll give you a long
Honor
life.
of that, yes.
He'll proclaim it. I like that. Anybody else? You said to me that you had an MP3 player and a DVD player. Before you go home, I would like to see you have a complete library of Brother Branham's tapes
Yes.
that you can have yourself.
Uh-huh.
We got one in the office.
Have they got any movies of the testimony of people like?
We have some, yes.
Yes, I would like to get some for Walter.
We've got about
So we're
12
going to have to discourage him from watching those worldly shows.
We
you
got
know.
about
Yes,
about 14 to 15 hours of myself, but then we've got we'll have an hour and a half of you and I.
yes, yes. Even in my home, like Russ, before he started reading those books, what I did was I took away all those worldly magazines and I got rid of it. And I put out the spoken word book. That's the only ones that were in the living room. Huh? And he said, what happened to my books? I said, oh, you mean those trash? And he said, what trash? And I said, the books that you bring home. And he didn't like that. Huh? And then I said, Russ, you should pray about those things before you buy anything. You know, he buy those movie books, you know, like who did what, and who married whom, and something like that. And I didn't think it was, you know,
Very edifying.
no, it's not healthy, I told him. And he asked me why. And I said, you got a soul that you have to feed. I said, if you don't feed it right, I said, what are you feeding on? You know?
Yeah,
Yes.
good sermon.
And something like Brother Branham said about this man got two daughters.
Yeah, white dog, black dog.
The one you feed the most is the, yes.
Okay. Anybody else? What'd you enjoy
So, yeah, I live in a place, Fort Nelson is a very small place. It's just one-way street. So you can imagine how I felt coming down. And anyway, we just got 2 stores, one health store, IGA and Overweighty, that's all. So if you come to visit my hometown, there's not much to look at. You wouldn't get lost anyway.
Is
At
there
least.
a McDonald's there?
Yes, no.
Really?
They have A&W.
Oh,
Yeah, they have A&W there.
okay. A&W.
Yeah.
You can go
And
down there and get a root beer, huh?
a root beer. And they have a Chinese cafe, but it's not open all the time because they're short of help.
What's the population there now?
I wouldn't know, I have no idea.
Well, isn't there a motel there?
Yes, there is. There's a Fort Hotel, Super 8, and about 3 or 4 other motels, you know.
But everybody that goes up the Alkite Highway, they pass through there, don't they?
Well,
They come from Fort St. John
yeah.
to Fort Nelson to the highway.
the only time we see tourists is in early part of April, May, and June, and July. It's the only time we see the American tourists, and that's the only time like the town, they pick up, and the work increase. Other than that, after they leave, like in September, and September, October, it's, like everybody's going home, and it's pretty quiet around there then, yeah.
Okay,
there's
what
no-
about the seasons? In the wintertime, when does the sun come up?
Well, the shortest day is in December 21st. We only got 2 hours daylight. In
Really?
December, yes. You gotta sit in the dark all day.
And
if you got-
then what's the longest day?
In July, no? The longest day would be in June 21st. Yeah.
Okay.
That's when everybody
that day
missed
you-
the daylight, so they stay up all night. Yeah.
So that day you only have 2 hours night, huh?
Yeah, in December, just 2 hours daylight, and in June, all night,
Have all day and no night.
yeah. So
That's because it's so far up on the globe and,
maybe that, yes.
okay, do they have any gardening there? Or y'all grow any vegetables?
Well, everybody went modern, so modern that there's hardly anybody doing that now. There are people, there are people that live on a farm or something. Maybe they have a garden,
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I saw vegetables up there.
Well, they ordered them.
Yeah, but I saw some that were homegrown, and a head of cabbage weighed 72 pounds.
Well,
Because it
that's
had
in
so
the
much
fall.
daylight.
Yeah, that's in the fall when they have some, what they call that season. In September they have that.
The exhibition of the fair,
Yes,
that's where I saw
the
it.
fair, the fall fair they call
Yeah,
it. Yes.
it was on display.
Yes.
Had radishes as big as my head.
Oh wow, I didn't see that.
Everything was big because of the extra daylight,
Oh,
I thought
wow.
they came from Texas, but they told me they grown up there.
Up there?
Yeah. And then went on up to Alaska, and they had
Mm-hmm.
them displayed up there too, at that time of the season. But it goes to show you that things grow in daylight,
Yes.
and they don't grow in dark, is what it does. But besides the DVDs and the tapes, is there anything else about the message that we need to help you and then come baptize these
Yes,
folks?
what we're short of is a prayer cloth. Yes,
Prayer cloths.
yes.
We have those. You don't have any prayer cloths?
Not up there, because Russ got one on him.
Okay. Well, you know, we have some that Brother Branham prayed over, and we give them to everybody in the world that needs them. So
Yes.
we'll give you a good supply of them so you can give them to everybody. Even if you don't need it now, Brother Branham said, take it and put it in your Bible at Acts 19:12, and then when the children get sick, you've got one. So, and you can use it more than once.
You can?
There's no healing in that, but what it does is, again, you have confidence to know that there were special miracles performed in the ministry of
Yes.
Brother Branham, and this just honors that, and it helps our faith to believe
Yes.
God's Word says that. Anything else?
Like about my own testimony, about my healing, like I was talking
You need to, I heard Brother Bennett mention
Yes.
this. The operation,
Yes.
was it supposed to be a cancer or a growth,
It's
or
supposed to be a cancer, but
was it breast cancer or
it's just right here.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a lump there. But when the doctor went to operate, he said to the nurse, he said, where did you say the lump was? Was it on this side or that side? And the nurse said, well, look at your chart. And this is what Russ heard them say, yeah? And the nurse said, I think it says on the left side. And the doctor checked and said, it's not there. But he went ahead anyway. He went ahead and opened whatever he had to do. But the doctor had about 26 patients to operate on that day. And he didn't realize he cut a blood vessel open. He didn't realize that. And he sewed it up. And they told me I'm just going to be an outpatient. Huh? I'm just going to be there for 3 hours. And anyway, when Russ come to visit me in the recovery room or whatever
Yeah,
they call
yeah.
it, yeah. And this other lady was in the same room with me, and she said, Russ, he said, what is that on the floor? And Russ looked, and he said, it's blood. Where is it coming from? Here I was bleeding, huh? And Russ called a nurse, and she pulled the sheet back. I was covered with blood. And the nurse was slapping my face, trying to wake me up, and I was gone, I guess. And they wheeled me back in the operating room to close up the blood vessel, which he said he didn't know he cut it. He said he didn't know it was by accident, that he didn't know that he cut it that deep, and he wasn't aware of it. Yeah. So instead of being an outpatient, I was in there for 3 days. Yeah.
but they didn't find the growth?
They didn't find the growth. No. No.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah. And when I was going with Russ, we're just going together, huh? Not really serious or anything. We went for a long trip, and we slept in a truck. And I guess I got cold, huh? And when we got home, I caught pneumonia. So I said, Russ, I said, I'm sick. I said, oh, my throat is killing me. I said, take me to the hospital. And he took me to the hospital, and the doctor took one look at me, and he told the nurse, he said, she just got 2 hours to live. He brought me in 6 o'clock. He said, by 7 o'clock, she'll be dead. And he didn't want to tell Russ. So anyway, the doctor called the Catholic priest and said, I got a patient that's going to die any hour now. Would you come and give her the last rites? And he find out who I was. And he said, is that woman that read those spoken word books? And somebody said, yes, it is. He said, well, let that God heal her then. And so the doctor phoned a lady minister. She was in my room and I wasn't aware of it. So, being I'm going to die at 7 o'clock, the doctors closed the curtains, the door, and they shut the light and everything. And I woke up just about 6:30. I woke up, I thought, where am I? You know, I was looking around like this. I was trying to find a light. And the lady minister was standing by the window in the dark. And she's supposed to give me my last rites. And anyway, she switched on the light and she said, oh, she said, you don't need me. She said, I thought, what are you doing here? Oh, never mind, she said, and she took off. I thought, what's going on? So I walked out of my room and I sat with another girl down by the waiting room. And this nurse saw me and she called the doctor and said, there's something wrong here. He said, she's sitting up and she's visiting others. And the doctor come running and he said, you're supposed to be in bed, he said. I said, what's wrong? and he said, never mind, he said, and he left. And I asked the nurse, I said, could you tell me what's going on? She said, and then she told me, she said, you're supposed to die at 7 o'clock. I said, are you sure? And it was just about 5 minutes to 7. I said, we'll just wait and see. And she started laughing and she said, and the priest made a remark and said, let that God that she believed heal her. So, so that's exactly what happened, yes. So I praise the Lord for His goodness to me. Yes.
God in simplicity.
Yes. God in simplicity.
Louise, you realize that we were blessed.
Yes.
And God had a purpose in all that happened. Mm-hmm. And He still has a purpose for you. You've been a blessing to us tonight.
And another thing, we survived, well, Russ was driving too fast, and we're at Summit Lake, and there's a big rock cut like around there. He ran the truck right into the side of the mountain. The front caved in. I was trapped in there. He got out. I was trapped in there. And he reached in, he said, are you all right? I said, yeah. The truck was like this. And he said, can you crawl out? I said, I can't move. But somehow, I don't know how, you know, how God's grace worked. There was a little window open like this, and he pulled me through that window like that. He just pulled me out, and the truck rolled over like this. And there was tourists sitting there. They were watching all this. And she said, are you all right? I said, I'm okay. She said, that was a miracle, she said. I never seen anything like this, she said. It must be God's grace. It wasn't my time to go. So they probably knew I will come like this.
It's too crowded up there. There's not any room up there for you.
It's too crowded up. Yes.
There's too many people been killed in war that's already up there. It's full.
Yeah. And you know, after Walter told Maggie, she come crying to me. She said, I can't make it, you know. She was sad. And I said, Maggie, I said, don't listen to Walter. I said, remember you got washed, you baptized? I said, you'll go up there. He said, I'm going to tell him that, he said. He said, when I get there, he said, I'll push him back. I said, no, don't do that. It was, yeah. He said, your turn to stay down there. Yes. Yeah, those two, they argue back and forth. Well, up there, they got nothing to do. They visit each other, and, you know, Walter cooks for them. Yeah, he cooks for them.
Look, Louise, we Americans, we live down here and people work 40 or 50 hours a week to try to get enough money that we can go camping for a weekend and enjoy the outdoors. Your family up there camps all the time trying to get enough money to come to town to get a McDonald's hamburger.
Yes.
The world's backwards, isn't it? Huh?
Yes, the world is backward. Yeah.
But they live there because they want to live there, huh?
Yes, that's where the grandparents live, and I think that's where they
That
want to
tradition
die.
and
Yes.
family means
And
a lot to
there's
them,
a
doesn't it?
family cemetery up there.
There is a cemetery
Yes.
there?
Yes, that's where mom and dad are buried.
And what about your forefathers, like the ones that were prophets? And are they buried there somewhere?
They're buried at Toad River Hot Spring.
Okay.
Yeah, Toad River Hot Spring.
There's some hot springs up there at Toad River.
At Toad River, yes.
Okay. Tell me, when you people have a funeral, is it like we do here? You put them in a box or something?
Yeah,
or bury 'em?
they have it like,
You don't put them up on a platform?
no. Like maybe in olden days they did when there was nobody to help or something.
But what if somebody dies in the cold of winter when the ground's frozen and you can't get in there? Do they wait and bury it in the spring or something, or do they just put it
I
in the
never asked mom.
ground and pile up rocks? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be, yes.
What do y'all do when you have a funeral now? When one of your brothers died, when Oscar died, where'd y'all bury him?
Well, the town did, because the Indian, the band,
Okay.
they do that. Yeah.
You still have an Indian band. The Beaver has an Indian
Yes.
band there. Huh?
Yeah, the
Y'all have a
government pays for.
You have a
everything.
chief
We have a.
or chairman or somebody of it?
It's just a woman chief.
Oh,
Her name
a
is,
chiefess.
yeah, her name is Kathy Dickey.
Okay.
Kathy Dickey, yes.
Well, now, how many other native North American believers do you know? You say you're a Beaver. Do you know anybody with the Crees? But your husband, he was a
Cherokee.
he was a Cherokee.
Yes,
That's
he's a
what Brother
Cherokee.
Branham's
Yes.
mother was.
He's,
Okay, but you don't know any Apaches or Yaquis or.
no, I
But you
never-
know you're going to get to meet some this week.
Yes, that would be wonderful. I look forward to that.
Okay,
Yes.
Wednesday night, you're going
Yes.
to be up at the San Carlos Indian
Okay.
Reservation with the congregation up there in the building where Brother Branham preached.
Yes.
And then you're going to spend Thursday up there with them too.
Okay.
Now, next week, one time, we're going to have you go out to the Yaqui Reservation. We have a
Okay.
mission out there too. And then I want to ask this: would you sisters like to have a luncheon with Louise somewhere like at Furs or something one
We all
day?
should have, yes. I
And you
would love
sisters
that.
come there?
Yes.
Would you? Yes.
Yes.
Tuesday,
Tuesday?
12 o'clock
Yes.
at Furs. That's day after
Okay.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
Sister Bennett, can you deliver her?
Yes.
Okay, that'd be wonderful.
Yes.
And
I
would y'all
do
please
that
spread the
then.
word around to all the other sisters that want to come?
Yes.
I think they would enjoy meeting Sister Louise.
Yeah.
And she would enjoy meeting them too. And she had on a beautiful dress this morning.
Oh,
And I asked her where she got that beautiful dress, and she said that the folks in Edmonton took her to the recycle store on Friday before she came down here.
yes.
And I think it just fits Sister Green. But anything y'all can do to make her welcome, I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I asked her what she ate special, and she said everything. But I'm sure that the Indian sisters up at San Carlos will make her welcome, and they'll enjoy her company, and she will theirs too. And then, then the Cree Indians with Brother Lewis and them, they were down with us last year some.
Yeah.
It's over in the Saskatoon area. They said they want to meet you too. You see, you're known all over the world, Louise.
Thank God.
And now then, they're going to
Yeah.
get to see you and hear you,
Yes. Yeah, I just want to say, brother and sisters, I love you. I'm glad you're all Christians, and I feel so at home here. Thank you for making me welcome. I feel very at home, like kindred spirit, you might say, you know. You know, like before I came, like I was sitting in Seattle International. Well, the enemy was tempting me. He said, "You're in the wrong place. This is not where you should be, you know. And the people, you know, you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be there." And I thought, "Who are you anyway?" You know. So, and he said, "Women's place is at home." And I thought, no. There's some women in the Bible. They stood up for what is right, you know. And, you know, like when I come down here, last time when I was down here with Sister Billy, when I went home, my husband, he's a preacher like her, he tells everybody, she went down to the church, you know, "What are you guys doing?" So everybody goes religion when I'm down here. Everybody, the Catholics are real Catholics, and the Pentecostal, they're all Pentecostal. So when I come home, everybody is repentant like that, but the only thing is they can't come to this word. I wonder why. Why can't they?
They're not predestinated.
They're not predestined.
As many
They
as
just
were ordained to eternal life
Right.
believed.
Yes.
Acts 13:48.
Yes.
Brother Green,
Yes.
it's been asked if Sister Louise could speak in her language, maybe say God bless you to the people so they could hear in
Yes.
her language.
Can you say something in your native language? Like you could say, "God bless you" for us? Or have you forgotten how to speak it?
No, I haven't. Katanikekeji would mean, "May God keep you safe." Imizita la dane shawara yakeji. Jinan kesuri che. It dane aku asu kata da u de jela u etsi da la geji. Iti di kata I what a jehela geji. Now, should I repeat? Okay. This word is not a lie. This word is truth. But if you don't accept it, you're accepting a lie. And you go to the other place. This is what I'm saying. And kata in our language means God.
Kata.
Yeah, kata.
Kata.
Yeah, kata.
How do you say Jesus in your language?
Metwen.
Meshwen.
Metwen. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Yes.
Metwen.
Metwen. Yeah.
Metwen. Everybody. Metwen.
Metwen. Yeah.
Metwen. In the name of Metwen.
In the name of Metwen. Yes.
In the name of Metwen.
Metwen.
When I baptize people, I should say in the name of Metwen.
Yes.
Metwen.
Kata Metwen. Easy.
Mata Metwen.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
So.
Thank you. God bless you.
Now, if Wanda hears this, I wonder what she'll say. We were talking in your language.
That's all right.
Yes.
While you're in Tucson, is there anything you would like to do? Like to see? You've been...
I came here to serve you people, so it's not my desire, it's your desire I like to see fulfilled. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. When I left home,
MP3? Prayer clause?
Russ said to me, before I got on the bus, I said, I changed my mind. And he said, you're going. And he said, that truck is not moving anywhere. And he said, you're going on that bus, he said. I said, well, I really don't want to go. I feel sick, you know. He said, no, you're not. He said, you're going, he said. And so in the end, he won anyway. So actually, I was scared.
Now,
I was
he couldn't
scared to
come
come.
because he doesn't have a passport.
Passport, yeah, and he doesn't want to fly. He's scared. He's scared to fly.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell him ride his horse.
Yeah, he should have rode a horse. Yes.
What kind of work did Russ do?
He works in an oil field.
In the oil field.
Yes, in an
Okay.
oil field when he was working anyway. He's a cat operator.
Caterpillar.
Yeah, on
Dozer.
Alaska Highway, yes.
Okay.
And he was doing that for 30 years. He was in Summit, and he was at Montreux Lake when they had camp there, yes.
Well, now, most of the highway is paved today, isn't it? It's with blacktop hard surface.
Not really, no.
Really?
No.
They wore it out,
No.
huh?
No, they're not paved, no. Between Fort St. John and Fort Nelson, yes, but not up the highway. They, no, they're not paved. You see, I think it's going back to the wilderness because it's not like what it used to be.
Not used as much, so it's
Yeah.
reverting back, huh?
Yeah, it's going back to the, like, where the Summit Lake used to be, there's no more camp. Huh? It's just a tourist camp. There's no cafes or anything. So when you get to Fort Nelson, you'll see a sign that says for 800 and some miles, there's no gas. So if you're a tourist, you have to be prepared. Huh?
There's no gas at Toad River now?
They close for the winter.
Okay, but I mean, I see,
During the summer, they open.
in the
yes.
summer they got, and there's services at Whitehorse.
In Whitehorse, yes.
And Muncho Lake?
Montreux Lake is open, on and off.
Okay.
That's the one the Indians are fighting with this guy that owns the cafe. When they claim the land claim, and if the Yukon Indians win, they want to kick him out. And if I win, if my side wins, he stays. And Montreux Lake will go on for tourist resort. But if the Yukon Indians take over, they want cut everybody off. Yeah, they don't want no tourists, nothing. So that's what we're arguing about right now, about the land claim, because I'm ahead of my dad's trap line, and what I have to say, you know, I have to speak up and say that where the family used to be, where they live, and why we're defending the land. It's not so much for money. This is my way of thinking. It's just for why can't they let matters the way it was? You know, why can't they let the way things were? Why are these Indians trying to divide the white people from themselves? Why are they doing this? It's something I don't know. It's in God's hand, I don't know.
Your father made his living trapping? No,
Trapping.
you said he worked for the highway some
for
of
the
this.
highway, yes.
Okay, but his father, they were trappers and hunters?
Yeah, they were trappers and hunters. Yes.
Yeah. And the man MacDonald,
Yes.
what was his nationality? Was he white, Irish?
No, he's native.
He's native?
Yes.
Where did he get the name MacDonald?
Well, he's from England.
Okay.
Yeah, he came from England, he said.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Scottish or something.
And he came in and settled there.
There, yes.
That was 150 years ago more, though, a long time ago, huh?
Yeah, that was years ago. But Mom's family lived there all their life, like the Stones and
The Stones.
and the Musquaws and
Maquas and Stones.
the Stones. Yes, they lived there in that area. Yes, hunting and fishing and.
Okay, are you familiar with the story that I've heard part of it where Brother Branham was someplace and some of the Indians were trying to get their pension or inheritance or so forth, and they didn't know where they were born or their age or their
Oh,
birth
that was
dates.
mom.
Huh?
Yes, that was mom.
Your mom?
Yeah, because the government told this guy that was trying to apply a pension for mom, he said, that person does not exist. And this Norman that was doing the paperwork and said, but she's sitting right here in my office. And the government said, tell me, where does she work? Well, in them days, there was no work, huh? So you got to fill out all those forms. That's what he was talking about, yes.
And,
Yes.
and Brother Branham, by discernment, told him she was born here and her birthday
Yes.
was this and her
Yes.
age was that. Have you folks heard that
Yes.
story before? Huh?
Yes.
How many of you have never heard that story?
Oh,
Isn't that
wow.
amazing?
Yes.
But that was your mom. I never
Yes,
knew
that
that.
was mom. Yes,
I never
that
knew.
was
But
mom.
but she was successful in getting registered.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that was her.
Because at the time of her birth, nobody kept any birth
No,
records, did
nobody
they?
kept, even dad too. He didn't even know what day he was born. Like I'll tell you about my brother and sisters. When they heard about birthdays, and my brother, they were a little bit educated and they know enough to say what birthday, huh? Like they chose any month they want. It's like, and Joe says, oh, I don't like April, it's too rainy. He said, I'm going to choose July. So, see, that's what I mean, yeah. And they got the government all mixed up, huh? Yeah. Yeah, they chose their own month, like.
Had kids only 7 months apart here, huh? And because there was 22 in your
My family.
In your family.
Yeah, brothers and sisters, yes.
your brothers and sisters,
Yes.
and were you the baby or?
Yeah, I'm the third from the youngest. Because I got
Okay.
Eddie and George, they're younger than me.
Okay.
Yes,
Eddie and George is under
yes,
you.
Eddie and
Where did they
George.
get your names from at that time? Where did your name Louise or Eddie and George come
Well, they gave me that name when I went to school.
from? Oh, I see.
Yes. But,
Well, your name was Hookidakaduka, huh?
yeah, something like, my real name is called Cocaine, like, and this.
Your name is what?
Cocaine.
Cocaine?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And this lady that worked in the band office, she said, that don't sound good. She said, it sounds like cocaine. He said, if I ask for you, where's cocaine? And the cops are going to arrest me. So, because she worked for the government, she changed my name. She changed it to Adair, like that. It means a little one. So it's spelled A-N apostrophe D''A. So how do you pronounce that?
Adaya.
Yeah, Taya. So
Adada.
she, yeah. No, she didn't like my name, Cocaine. That's what Mom called me, yes.
Cocaine?
Cocaine, yeah. And that's what the cops are looking for now up there where I live.
They come to Russ's house saying, is cocaine here? And he said, no cocaine.
Who, where, yes.
Yes. Okay. Oh, right here. Have you ever seen one of these?
No, what is that?
Okay. This is a green case. You see that green?
Yes.
That's my name.
Oh,
And
Oh,
we
wow.
we bought these special. And here are all 1,182 of Brother Branham's sermons
wow.
that can be played on that machine which you have,
The one I got.
the one you have. Now, you have a complete
Yeah.
library of Brother Branham's tapes.
Yeah.
We don't sell them.
Oh, wow.
That's like a
Really?
library
I can
book.
Have this.
That's yours to
thank
take
you.
home.
Wonderful.
And
yes.
I will ask you if you're
Can
using
I
it.
play this in the truck also?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, if it's
Oh,
an MP3
wow.
player in the truck.
Yes.
And in this envelope,
It's prayer.
there are prayer
Yes.
clause. Feel like there might be about 25 or 30 in here, huh?
Oh,
And
wow.
we'll tell you, I'll give you a written explanation of where we got these. Now we
Yes,
got them.
okay, thank
And
you. Thank you very
You take
much,
them and let the people
brother.
use them there, huh?
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
I started to ask if anybody took a picture of this, but I guess this whole thing's on picture. Did we get a still shot of this, or you want to pull one off of the film, or you want to take one? Okay. Any other question? How come you folks haven't got up and go home? This is a mighty long sermon.
Oh, wow.
Didn't service start at 5? And we started at 5:30, and here it is. That's 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Wow.
You're long-winded. Sister Holmquist.
I have a question about the birth of the children. Are they born at home with a midwife, or do?
Oh, no, sister. They practice natural childbirth there. They go to the hospital, and the doctors shoot them full of drugs. And no, ma'am. It's very natural, very primitive in our books. Childbirth to them comes natural. 22 children, they know how.
Yeah, Dad got 2 wives. It's just not from one lady. He married both sisters. What happened was, I better explain this. Mom, husband died, and she got 4 little girls. And Dad lost his wife, and he's got 7 little boys and 3 little girls.
So that's
And
14.
She lost his wife. So Mom was staying with her dad in them days. And so her dad said to her son-in-law, he said, why don't you get together and raise the children? You know, because they were both sisters anyway, because that was Mom's older sister he was married to. Dad was. Yeah. So they put all the children together. That's how come there was 22. That
Then they
each
had 8.
lady has 11 children.
And
Yeah.
they had 8 of themselves.
Yeah. And so you see Maggie, Walter, and Elsie and Lucy, they all from the other family, like Billy, Oscar, and Oscar's 3 brothers. They all from the first lady. But us, like Eddie, George, Joe, Angus, Jack, and Mary, and they both gone on. These 2 sisters, they gone on. And we're all from the second wife,
So
who
you-
is called Nellie McDonald. She's the one that was prayed for by Brother Branham. Yes.
Yeah. From your mother's side, you had
Yeah.
4 stepsisters, 4
Yes,
half-sisters.
stepsisters, yes,
And from your dad's side, you had 10
yes,
brothers and sisters, but then you had 7 brothers and sisters between your mom and dad.
yes.
That happened,
And-
like she mentioned about the Indian prophet. He had 30 children, but he had 3 different wives, not at the same time. It's like my mom's father was half Indian, and his name was Walker Samples, and he and my grandmother had 12, and my mother's the baby. Grandpa believed that they should have a child every year, just like the cow, the horse, anybody else. That was just the way of life with them. And mother was the baby of 12. I know a family that the man had 6, his wife died. There was a sister, she and her husband had 6, and her husband died. The 2 of them got together, brought all 12 children, and they had 6 between themselves, and there's 18 in that family.
Oh,
And you'd probably know a lot of them if I called their names because they're followers of this message. But you know, now we're limited to 1 or 2. We don't believe in natural childbirth. This
No,
is
I
your
was-
library.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, I don't think it's worth mentioning, but since I'm on the subject, I got a sister that between Angus and I, well, she died of old age. She was just a little baby. And mom couldn't nurse the baby, and there was the American army there, and there was the American doctor. So dad went and got him. They were 2 miles to the highway, yeah? And he said, there's something wrong with the baby. He said, it won't nurse, huh? So the American doctor come over and examined the baby. It's just 3 or 4 days old. And he examined it and he said, Charlie, he said, this baby is 90 years old. And he said, he's just born. He kept arguing with the American doctor. But the American doctor said, well, he said, it's old age, he said. And she died like that. 3 days later, she died. So something like that runs in the family. And I got a niece named Wanda Sorrell. She's got a son named Bradley Sorrell. So he's only 9 years old and he's dark graying, like this. Yeah. And now he's
Premature age, huh?
yes, premature age. Yes. And
He's 9, but he's looking 90.
yeah, he looked 90. Yeah. Isn't that something? It just
Well, he can be young again
yes, that's true. Yes.
after the resurrection. Any other questions, comments? All right, that's did we say noon Tuesday
Tuesday.
at Furs on Oracle? Any of you sisters that want to come, and be sure to invite somebody else. God bless you.
Yes. Thank you, Brother Green. Thank
Let's give
you.
Sister Louise a
Yes,
hand, okay?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate being here with you all. I enjoy everything, and I'm glad this testimony is going out, and I hope it helps somebody along the way, you know. Like, I have a lot of ups and downs myself, like with trials and things like that. Up where I come from, I'm just living among the unbelievers, and I got a girlfriend, and her name is Jeannie, and she drinks steady, yeah? But she wants to be safe, and she needs prayer. And she's the only companion I got up there. The other girls you can't even associate with. Our little town is called the worst drug addict country in Canada, in BC. Fort Nelson is condemned because of the drugs that people are using, and there's a lot of people are committing suicide, and there's a lot of accidents, and there's a lot of evil going on, you know, and this is where I'm from. And for some reason, one night I was laying sleeping, like I phoned him and I told him, I thought I was leaving the body. I thought I was dying. Huh? And I thought, oh Lord, not yet. Please, I thought, I haven't done nothing for you, Lord. I hadn't said anything too much yet. And I said, Lord, if you give me a chance, I said, I'll do something for you. And something said, well, fulfill what you wanted to do. Go, now's the time to go. I thought, what is urging me? What's wrong with me, you know? And I thought, yeah. I thought about Tucson Tabernacle. I thought, must be losing my mind, I thought. I've been there before, and something keeps saying Tucson Tabernacle, and it's getting louder and louder. I thought, I'm talking to myself. And there was a Bible laying there, and I picked it up and I started reading. And it was, I forgot what it was, it says in there. Anyway, I started reading the Bible, and then it dawned on me that the Word, yes, the Word. And I thought to myself, well, you know, I've been down there twice with Sister Billy, and I hadn't said a word to anybody. I hadn't testified or anything. What's wrong with me? What's going to happen? So I said, Lord, if you just make a way, I'll go. So by faith, I phoned Brother Green. I told him how I felt, huh? And he said, go find out about the plane fare. And when I asked her, and she said, it'll be $1,700. I thought, whoa, that's too much. So I said, what if I predated it a month later? And she said, that'll be so and so much, and something like that. It's by God's grace. Huh? So I phoned him again, and you talked to her on the phone, yes.
It was a little over 500.
It's little, yeah. So that's why by God's grace I'm here, yes. And I want to thank him for bringing me here. And I enjoy talking to everyone. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening to my broken English. It's not very, you know, I try to make myself clear, you know, but if you don't understand what I'm trying to say, perhaps maybe Brother Green will.
You've done real good.
Yes, thank you, yes.
You've done real
Okay.
good.